Hey tea heads, this is Don from Mayleaf. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing and rating 4 teas that have been made in the US of A. So American specialty teas, kindly sent to us by Gus. Thank you, Gus, out there for sending them to us. If you've seen our other series called Reviewing Supermarket Teas, you know that I do these reviews where I'm blind. I don't know what the teas are, and I taste teas that have been purchased from a supermarket and I rate them from 0 poison all the way up to 10 pinnacle tea, 10 meaning a tea which is good enough to be selected for the Mayleaf collection. And I say always in those videos that we never expect supermarket teas to sort of reach the lofty heights of sort of 8 and above, and if they do, then they get a shout out, the brand gets a shout out, so that, you know, they get that pat on the back, whatever that means, from us. And but this is different. This is specialty tea. So I would hope and expect that the scoring, I'm going to keep the same scoring system, so 0 to 10. So it's exactly the same as the supermarket tea, but I don't want to equate this with supermarket tea. This is different. This is specialty teas. Again, I'm assuming they're specialty teas. And so you'd hope that they're sort of above 5 and maybe even reaching the 10 mark. And if it's above an 8, then I will shout out the brand. I'll put it, caption it in the video. Right, so let's dive in. I have tasted American tea before from, I want to say Charleston. So I have tasted that. I have tasted some Hawaiian teas before. But I'm not really that well versed in these teas. So I'm going to try and guess, well, the tea type. Hopefully that's going to be easy. And the price. They're all from the States, so I can't really guess the origin. And I'm not even going to try to guess the origin of... I'm not really going to try to guess the origin in America because I don't really know the different tea producing areas. And the reason why I went is, as you can see, this is some cut leaf stuff here. Not a great start. Gus, I hope that things improve here, at least in terms of the look, but you know, can't always judge a book by its cover, but I need a strainer. Otherwise, this is going to get messy. Anyway, let's try. All right, here we go. So I'm brewing straight from Guy 1 into my Longevity Peach cup. This is a very classic way that I brew at home, straight in when I'm doing solo brews. Let's warm everything up, give the tea the best chance that it can have, and let's get some of this in. I'm not going to put all of that. Okay, that should be enough of this black tea. So I'm calling the tea type black tea. Definitely black tea. Smells quite nice, actually. Has a... malt and toffees, has a little bit of poppy seed note to it. So poppy seed paste, malts, toffees. Smell on the nose is actually pleasant, a bit light but pleasant. So happy with that. Quick rinse, even though it's a cut leaf, so it should be very quick. And this is the problem with these cut leaves, they're always going to make a bit of a mess, but I'll tidy up in between the teas. Okay, here we go. Okay, yeah. Again, poppy seed. A lot of poppy seed, which I like. I really like poppy seed as a smell in black teas. Reminds me of Chiman teas. Slightly biscuity, got some biscuity warmth, got some milky black tea notes to it. So milk, the sweetness that comes from the sort of malty, more Assamica varieties. I don't know the cultivars here on these teas, but it smells to me more in the region. It could be small leaf, but it has that sort of Assam maltiness to it. Malty, biscuity, nothing unpleasant on the nose, so all good there. Let's see how it responds to, this is 95-degree water. I think that that's going to be right. I'm going to do a relatively quick brew here. And yes, it's going to be a bit messy in terms of the leaf because I did not bring a strainer, but I will try my best to do a very small aperture here. and see. Yeah, not bad. Okay, so first tea from Gus, American specialty tea. Everything like a classic, you would want from a classic sort of Assam style black tea, but with an extra flourish of poppy seeds in there. Cheers, everybody. Texture is a bit thin, but the taste is good. It's got a sweet aftertaste to it, like a little bit of a pancake syrup sweetness in the finish. Texture is actually all right. It's sort of medium and mineral and quite chunky in the mouth in terms of its sort of mineral nature. It's actually pretty good. It's got a lovely rounded quality to it, rounded and sweet. A little bit drying towards the end. I wouldn't expect anything less with a cut leaf tea like this, but nothing that is overwhelming in any way. See, with these kinds of teas, it's like they're definitely in the specialty tea range. We've definitely moved out of commodity tea. We've moved into specialty tea. This is tea which has been made with care. It's been made with love. It's definitely been crafted to have character. However, the character is quite simple. Nice, comforting, simple. Like I sort of equate this to a good rounded, probably more rounded than your average English breakfast, but a rounded English breakfast tea with a bit more like pancake syrup and molasses sort of sweetness to it. A good tea. We'll give it one more brew, and I need to look at that rating scale, which I've pulled up in front of me. Where is it? There it is. So this is certainly above, your 2, 3, 4s. It's definitely worth reinfusing. So it gets above a 5. So well done. It gets above a 5. Not that many supermarket teas do. But again, this is a specialty tea. So you would hope that it was above a 5. And the manufacturers, if they end up watching this video, they're probably screaming, that's not how you brew this tea. You need to brew it for longer. But this is the way that I judge teas. So you're going to have to just indulge me on that. And actually, I think these light brews on it really suit it well. I think I can imagine that brewing into it would just bring out a little bit more of the edge to it that I might find unpleasant. It's even got a little sort of green grape sweetness to it as well. A really nice tea. Let's look at that scoring. Worth infusing, sure. Stashable. Stashable. Okay, I've got to think, not necessarily me, because I've got so much tea that I probably wouldn't stash this tea. I mean, I wouldn't stash this tea. Like, I wouldn't keep it. I'd probably gift it to people because I've got way too much tea. But like an average sort of like collection at a tea heads, would they keep it? I think you would. You'd keep it in the cupboard for that sort of, that little moment. But it's not a proper session, I would say. So it's in the 6s to 7s. I would say 6.4. 6.4, a good start. A good start. I think it's a for what it is, for that cut leaf black tea like this, for that kind of tea, that's a good score. What did I say? 6? Did I say 6.4? I think I said 6.4. Or did I say 6.2? Can't remember. But anyway, But it's in the annoying. That's my memory. It's going. I think I said 6.2. So 6.2. I wouldn't even combine it with milk. Brew it light like this and it would be good. All right, so let's see our price point. I have no idea about US price points, but my assumption is, given the fact that the yield is going to be much lower, that the price has to be higher, right? So if this was a Ceylon or an Indian sort of tea, I would be sort of aiming at around sort of, I don't know, 7-8 cents per gram, but I'm going to like double it. So I'm going to say 15 cents per gram. I wasn't far off. So this is a black tea from South Carolina. I think it might be the same company that I tried before. Is Charleston in South Carolina? Sorry, my American geography, I think it is. So this is 18 cents per gram. So yeah, I guess that is sort of to be expected. That's kind of pricey compared with, you know, teas from the subcontinent and teas from China, but for the US, I can understand that, you know, yield plays a big part. So good start, 6-2 as far as I can recall for tea number 1. I'll be back with tea number 2. All right, let's see what we've got here. Tea number 2, good start for tea number 1. Oh yeah, tea number 2 is looking fine. Take a look at these. So we've got a white tea. Let's just take a look at these. I mean, the beautiful thing about loose leaf teas, you can assess quality much better. So it looks similar to sort of like a moonlight white, Yue Guang Bai, in terms of the color contrast between these very dark small leaves and then the very silvery needles. Usually that means that it was most likely produced, I'm gonna guess it was most likely produced indoors. I don't know what the production is in America, but it looks like that. The buds, the picking is super fine, very high quality picking. I mean, it looks like a very high quality picking white tea, you know. And with these kinds of white teas, what you're gonna get is when you have a picking like this, you're gonna have generally a high quality taste, but there's going to be some very key things that sort of bring it into the upper echelon of pinnacle tea, for me anyway. So let's see how this tea performs. Temperature's all right, actually. I might bump it up a little bit. Let's see how much leaf I want to put in here. Do the whole thing. Ooh, nice little aroma coming off here. Ooh, okay, let's see. Oh yeah, nice powdery vanillas. Talcum powder. So talcum powder sweetness. Yeah, very like icing sugar, talcum powder, vanilla in the nose, on the nose. There is still that little biscuity note, but it's very blonde, like a little bit like a shortbread. And there is a fruit. Not quite sure. Sort of, it's a very light, simple, sweet fruit, like a very light melon sort of quality to it. Quick rinse. Have high hopes that this is gonna hit the upper levels of this scale. Yeah, nice. If you detect a little bit of disappointment in my voice, that's because I was hoping for something more explosive, but nice. More in the rounded, smooth quality. Reminds me a little bit more, again, like of a Yunnan or a Guangxi white tea. So very sweet and got like a little buttercream note to it, sort of just sweet, lovely, nice, but I'm just sort of like, I'm always hoping that there's going to be some other little edges, little textures that are going to pop out that's like, ooh, that's interesting. Like it might be something herbaceous, or it might be something a bit greener, or a bit like nuttier, or marzipan. Like I'm looking for that when I smell a white tea. And here I'm getting lots of pleasantness, but very little edge. So let's see how it performs on the brew. But usually the smell of the wet leaf will give away that character in a white. If a white tea has that something extra, that's something special in it, then it's usually in that wet leaf smell. But it's still a very, very well-made white tea. And I'm going to brew it quite long because it's buds, needs time. And also I'm not going to have too many infusions because I've got 4 teas to get through. So I don't want to take too long with this video. Have you tried American tea out there? If you have, please do share in the comments. Yeah, let's keep it brewing a bit longer. White tea is a very difficult one. I mean, we taste a lot of all teas, but white teas, it tends to be that they all come in a rush, and we have, I don't know, 50, 60 white teas that we got to try. And they generally white teas have an overall high standard. But it's, as I said, it's those little extras, those frills that may be little but actually contribute a lot to a different tea experience. And I've way overfilled this, so excuse me, but I'm going to do this. Yeah, I can tell you now that this tea is going to be too light for me. I kind of suspected that because that's why I wanted to brew it longer. In fact, I think it needs a bit more time, so I'm going to put that together for another 20 seconds or so. I feel like it's one of those teas that has a lot on the front end in terms of like those vanilla buttercreams or cake frosting, icing sugar, all of those lovely notes, but it doesn't have enough structure, enough backbone, enough body to really like entice me and excite me. Yeah. All right. The score is slowly moving down, but let's give this, you see how light that is, even with like quite long infusion? That's, I mean, it's all right, but it's a bit, I was hoping for a bit more. And it can be light, but, you know, it can be light in color, but really strong in taste. Now, again, it's nice. A little peppery note coming through, which I like. A touch of like sort of chrysanthemum or chamomile style pepperiness. You're relatively thick, actually. The texture is good, you know, as you would hope with these with heavy bud material teas. Nice texture, sort of medium thick to thick, oily, smooth, vanilla-y. And when I say vanilla, I'm talking about not the deep, dark, fudgy vanilla from the pods, but like quite a light, like buttercream frosting. But I want more, and it's not giving it to me. I will brew it one more time, and I'm going to brew it at really hot water just to, that was at around 92. So let's see, we'll brew it at boiling point and see. In terms of a score, certainly worth reinfusing. Certainly again, above stashable, just, I would say, at the moment. Let's see how this very hot water brew performs. And this is the thing, you know, looks can be very, very, very deceiving, especially with white teas. In fact, more often with white teas. You look at the white tea, and if you purchase on looks, that's not, some of the best white teas that I've had in terms of Bimel Duns have not been the prettiest. You know, In fact, I think that's almost a prerequisite. It's like if it's too fine picking and bud, then you're like, where's the character going to come? Now, if it was a silver needle, then it's a different, I'm looking for a different character again. If it's from Fuding, I'm looking for this sort of rich acorn and nut herbaceousness. So sort of green nuts moving into marzipans. If it's from Yunnan and Guangxi, then I'm expecting lots of floral and lots of bright and lots of sweet, but I'm looking for this texture and finish that's going to just remind me that this is from that kind of terroir. Here I'm sort of getting some of the character of the Yunnan and Guangxi sweetness, but I'm not getting that texture or that edge. And this is boiling water for, I don't know, a minute. And you can see it is still quite light. Yeah, hasn't changed. Is exactly the same. All right, so score on this one. It's again between 6 and 7. I would not call this a proper session. I would say, I actually think I prefer the first one, bizarrely. I know that might shock people, but I think the first one had more going on. This has a very pure taste. So if you're looking for white tea that's extremely like pure and light and, you know, dew-like, then this would be your jam. But for me, it's not quite there. I'm gonna it's a high quality tea. It's just not really my kind of thing. I'm gonna give it a 6.1. So it's a 6.1 for the second tea, despite its looks, a price point. Oh, it's gonna be expensive. It's white tea. Oh, I don't know. I have no compass to figure this out in terms of US teas, but let's say 20, if that one was 18, let's say 28 cents per gram. Oh. So this is a white tea from Hawaii. I can't never say that properly. Hawaii. I know that the sort of classic, like wrong way to say it is Hawaii, but you know, you can correct me out there. 53 cents per gram. So up there with the price of, you know, the top end raw puers. So price, you know, if you're talking about getting bang for your buck, I wouldn't say that this gives you much bang for your buck. However, let me just reiterate, it's a high quality, well-made tea by people who are probably getting the best out of, you know, their agriculture and their plants. And it's very sweet and pure tasting, and it's a good tea, but not, I would say, a great tea. 6.1, moving on to tea number 3. All right, let's see what we've got for tea number 3. So far, the teas have been all very, very pleasant, but nothing that's blown my mind. Tea number 3. Okay, again, looking good, looking nice. Black tea. Reserving judgment on this one, but my first guess is this is a black tea. And you can see, very well made. Looks like it's sort of been, you know, very carefully processed. Probably handmade. Get some water in here. In goes these leaves. Ooh. Got a good look about them. Okay, ooh. Very biscuity smell coming off this. Yeah, like a very biscuity. Wow, it's bringing back memories of something. It's bringing back memories of biscuits with like a hard, glaze on it, like a frosting on it. But that sets and becomes quite glassy. I don't know where that's come from, but there's biscuits with like a fondant glaze on top. Extremely biscuity, extremely sweet on the nose. A little bit of lilac flowers coming through. I'm still going to go with a black tea. We'll see how it changes as it gets brewed into. That is a lovely smell. I mean, again, I would say the theme here is it's one particular character done extremely, like, you know, brought to the fore. Complexity may be a bit lacking, but let's see. In terms of the smell, though, that is a lovely biscuity, warm smell with that sugary coating. It's funny, there's been a theme here with these American teas. Sweet, fondant, pancake syrups, biscuity, you know, quality. Oh, and it continues. Ooh. Now it's developed a little bit of a duck shit oolong quality to it. So I'm picking up a little bit more like almond, frangipan, a touch of very light cherry jam. So it's got a Bakewell quality. It's very much of those biscuits with the hard fondant or Bakewell tarts. A lovely, lovely smell. Possibly oolong, but I still think it's a black tea. Oh, possibly oolong. This is one of those teas that, well, I'm going to reserve judgment, but it might be sort of on the edge. It reminds me of a duck shit oolong, and that's pretty high praise. Right. The smell of the rinse leaves has given me a little bit of a excitement because that smells really, really good. And I'm going to brew this, you know, again, a little bit longer than maybe I would if I had just if I was just brewing by myself without the camera, because I want to try and figure out my opinion of it without brewing too many infusions. This is how I taste when I do sampling. Always overbrew intentionally to sort of get like a good character, and I'm pretty well versed at cutting out the notes that come from just simply overbrewing versus something that's just not great in the tea. Color looks relatively green, so I'm sort of wondering about the oxidation level on this. Seems, yeah, look at that color. It seems like it's sort of a bit in between. Like, is it black? Is it oolong? The color looks more oolong-like to me, and the leaves definitely look more green than you would sort of expect from a black tea. And the smell is very, very confection. A little bit of charred wood in there, in a good way, gives it a bit of character. Lilacs, again, purple flowers, violets, marzipans, more like frangipan rather than, so it's a bit like, it's not so nutty, but there's that sort of creamy quality to it. Buttery quality to it. Okay, oh, now I'm flicking back to black tea. A lot of that poppy seed. A lot of poppy seed taste. Sweet. It reminds me of like it reminds me of sort of like a cross between a Cheeman and a little bit like a duck shit oolong, but more close to a Cheeman. Again, I think this straddles the line, this tea. It might be that it was one of those oolongs that were given quite a hard wither. So it's sort of like the oxidation process, or the process which we broadly call oxidation, was stopped not strictly by firing, but more by drying through like a hard wither process. This tastes like a black tea that's quite green, or an oolong tea which has been made by a black tea producer. It's sort of like I can't quite work out its position. I'm interested to see which one it is. I'm going to brew this one more time. I'm really struggling here to work out if it's a black tea or an oolong, because it sort of is in between. But in terms of the taste, it's very nice. Texture is nice, drying to cooling to sweet. Has in the background, you have to search for it, but in the background there's a little like watermelon tang to it, which I like. I wish it was a little bit brought forward, but I like it. Yeah, the color of this continues to scream oolong to me. And the look of those leaves also says the same. Got a little touch of sourness in it, which I'm not particularly a fan of. It sort of makes me feel like the water was left in the leaf for a bit too long during the processing. And this is all just like, the processors are much more experienced than I am, but just from my own taste, I feel like that long wither, if it was a long wither, just was maybe a bit too long, and they could have potentially accelerated the oxidation and stopped it with firing, and they would have just curtailed that little sour quality to it. But it's very understated. However, the second infusion does not hit the same highs as the first infusion. It's got a lot of texture. It's got a lot of good juiciness in my mouth. But the juiciness is a little bit watermelony, but I want more from it. However, having said that, this is the best of the teas that we've tried for sure. A little bit of like a strawberry candy, chewy strawberry candy note on top as well. All right, let's look at the score. Definitely above worth infusing. Definitely above stashable. I would say this is a proper session. Now, the big question. Does it hit the 8? And I have to be honest here, because like I have no problem revealing a brand, right? If if it's a good tea, if it's above an 8, I'm happy to reveal the brand. So I don't want people to feel like there's a conflict here. I just have to be honest about whether or not I would say this is Tea Head recommended, because that's quite a big statement. Oh. You know what? I'm going to break my own rules here. I'm going to give it a 7.8. But I'm still going to tell you who made it somewhere around here, because I feel like, it's close enough. It's a very, very good tea. It's not I wouldn't recommend it to people. And it certainly, from my taste, isn't in the sort of range that we would be sort of curating and selecting for our teas, but it is a very, very good tea. I'm going to say it's a oolong tea. but I think it's been made in a sort of black tea-ish style. That's my guess. Price point. Well, I don't know because the last one was so high, but that was from Hawaii. So 35 cents a gram. Okay, I'm clearly off on all the prices. So this is an oolong tea from Mississippi, 57 cents per gram. So the most expensive of the lot, but the best of the lot so far. I like this tea. I think it's clearly made with a vision. I wish it moved more into oolong, if you know what I mean. Anyway, last but hopefully not least, number 4. Alrighty, number 4. Let's see what we've got. So far, I've been, these teas have been very good. My mouth is feeling really like fresh. It's got a lot of floral aromatics in my mouth. So, I mean, overall, the session has been a good one. Here we go, number 4. Hard to assess. Looks all right. It's green tea, looks like. Yeah, sort of like a rolled, curly green tea. Doesn't look particularly like amazing in terms of the look, but with green teas, you have to just brew it because it's very difficult to assess quality just by looks. Right, water. Got an old school guy one there. Keep tea gangster. Okay, right, I'm gonna leave that off. Let's see, what's the temperature? Okay, you have to let that cool down a bit. In go these greens. I assume it's a green, judging by the color and the shape. Okay, hit me. Oh, nice, very nice. Again, biscuity. What is it with American teas and this sort of biscuity, sweet, milky quality? It's one of the fascinating things about tea is that it somehow reveals a lot about the culture. If you think about Japanese teas versus Chinese teas, I kind of want to make a video about this, but I know that I'm sort of treading on thin ice because, I'm going to be having to make sort of cultural generalizations, and we all know how risky that is. But there's something about the character of teas and the way that they express the culture, or the culture expresses itself through the tea. I'm not saying that Americans are all biscuity, but it's very, very, again, very comfort sweet smelling. A little bit of orchid, a little bit of green melon, a little bit of gripe water, dill water, as a little extra lightness, but then the sort of structure of it, or the base of it, is a very pillowy, creamy, buttery biscuit note, which is lovely, right? Who doesn't love a buttery biscuit? And if you don't, then what is your problem? Here we go. Smell of the wet leaf. Ooh, okay. I picked up a sort of danger note in my nose. There's biscuits and butter there, but there's something. Okay, no, it's passed. Oh no, there's a slight. Okay, we'll go through the pleasant notes first. Green melon. Shortbread. Custard. Dill. But then it's tiny, is in the background, a tiny whiff of like tarmac. Just hiding there. Hiding there. I can sort of hear the producers like screaming, there's no tarmac. And I'm just like, for me, and actually, I'm not anti-tarmac. I quite like that sort of smell when you pass by roadworks and you get that smell. So it's not like necessarily negative. I just wasn't expecting to find it in a green tea. But anyway, let's see. I think that will probably not appear in the actual cup because it's so faint. So, green tea from the US. Is this the first green tea I've tried from the US? Possibly. I lose track. I think it might be. Green teas are notoriously harder to produce. Why? Because that firing process, the shaching process, it takes a lot of skill and experience to understand the level of heat, the method of heat, the number of times you heat it, the length of time that you leave it in contact with a pan. And this probably is pan, I don't know, probably pan heated or at least sort of baked. And the character can change very quickly. It's like cooking, right? The way that you cook something, you can take the same vegetable, but the way that you cook it, if you're stir frying, if you don't do it properly, you radically change the character of the dish. Color looks lovely, very bright, luminous, sort of absinthe green yellow. Leaves look, there's something in there. They look nice. They've got a, good green color to them. I mean, a little bit sort of larger picking than you would expect from sort of a super high quality rolled tea like this. The smell of the leaf has a very strawberry shortbread note to it. Definitely reminds me of a Luan Guapian. So larger leaf tends to have more of that starchy quality. This is not large leaf, it's still very fine picking, but it's just moving in that territory. So sort of in between a Luan Guapian or a very high quality gunpowder. I am not sure if this is pan baked. I'm gonna guess it is. I'm gonna guess this is at least like contact with some hot surface. All right. Got high hopes for this tea. It dropped slightly. No, I mean it's a good tea. It has a brightness. It has a freshness. It has it has arrived. It's saying, hello, I'm a tea and I've got character, and you're not going to just sort of dismiss me. It's got a lot of textural quality to it. It's a little bit thin, but it's got a lovely little zing to the back of my back sides of my tongue. The taste is a little bit of green acorn, a little bit sort of a milky, very blanched nuts, like maybe even like an oat milk or a soy milk kind of quality to it, but it's a bit fruitier than that. Fruit like light, like Asian pear, a little bit of lotus, a little bit of orchid. So nice, good palette of aromatics. My problem with it is the finish is quite noticeably dry, and I'm not, you should know by now that that's not a big problem for me. I like teas that are dry. But when I want like this sort of elegant green, I'm looking for something smoother than this. This is quite furry all over my tongue, as opposed to sort of a particular area or like a targeted sort of effect of the texture. It's sort of blanket dryness and furriness, which I'm not particularly enamored by. Yeah, it feels like it's not living up to the potential in the nose. It's got like a nice rounded sort of rounded and sweet background, and it's got some little bright flowery and fruity touches on the foreground, but the middle of it is sort of lacking character. It's not got anything in the middle of it. There's this just sort of dip, and the aftertaste is a bit transparent. There's nothing really much going on. It sort of is, again, reminds me of that that second tea in the Hawaiian one, in that like it's got a lot of lovely stuff in the front and a little bit at the back, but there's just, where's the complexity? Where's the, you know, it's got a very sort of simple, pure taste to it. Look at the score. Worth reinfusing, yes. Stashable, yes. I think we're in that zone again, people. Is it a proper session? It's, again, like, it's a very, you can tell that a lot of love and passion has gone into this tea. And I'm not sure if it's the terroir, if it's the age of the plant, if it's the cultivars, if it's just the youth of the production in terms of, you know, the land and the sort of processing of these teas that sort of reduces the complexity down to make it harder to produce these teas on the same level as the counterparts to the east. It's a lovely, nice green tea. I would throw it in the sort of a good all-rounder pearl tea from China, but with a bit of an extra dry astringency. And if it was that price point, then you'd be talking about, I don't know, 7-8 cents per gram. I suspect that this is going to be, again, up in the sort of 40s and 50 cents per gram territory. Good tea, it's around the same. I'm going to give it like a 6 point. Unfortunately, that little danger note never really, like, I mean, it might be a good thing, might not be a good thing, but it never really surfaced. There's nothing particularly extra special about it. So I'm going to give it another 6.2. Yeah, 6.3. I just wish there was more in the finish, and that the finish with the texture in my mouth was better, and I think that the middle is missing something. As I said, price point, I don't know, let's say 40. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, this is a green tea from Hawaii, and it's $1.43 per gram. I mean, when you're comparing $1.43 per gram with what you can get, and I know it's not a particularly fair comparison because of the fact, as we said, yields, etc., etc., etc. It's not me criticizing the price, because I understand that it's a different workforce, it's a different, you know, yields, and there's different production and all the rest of it. So it's not a criticism, but simply on the basis of a consumer, if you were going to be spending $1.43 per gram, you're talking about the absolute, you know, absolute, like, top echelon of teas from the East. So, you know, it's worth bearing that in mind. So we've got 6, 6.2, 6.1, 7.8, 6.3, all in the specialty tea range, all good teas. Gus, thank you. All good teas. I hope that if anybody's watching out there who knows the suppliers, that they're not, you know, getting too angry with me. This is why I didn't really want to do specialty tea reviews, but this is my honest opinion on them for what it's worth. That's it, tea heads. Check out other videos, taste our teas wherever you're on the world by browsing mayleaf.com, and come visit us if you're ever in London. Other than that, I'm Don from Mayleaf. Thank you for being a part of the revelation of true tea. Stay away from those tea bags. Keep drinking the good stuff and spread the word, because nobody deserves bad tea. See ya.